The film opens in a frozen landscape deep inside North Dakota. There's Wesley, a quiet little boy waiting alone for the school bus in the middle of nowhere. Just him in the snow. When the bus finally arrives, he climbs in and goes straight to the back seat, the usual spot for someone who wants to be left alone. On the way, a few kids outside start throwing snowballs and shouting, calling the bus a rocket. Wesley doesn't react. When they arrive at school, a place specialized for hearing-impaired children, the class is practicing the Pledge of Allegiance in sign language. But even there, Wesley can't find peace. One annoying classmate keeps picking on him, smearing snot in his hair, while Wesley just pretends not to notice. After class, he steps off the bus and walks home through the woods. His family lives in a rather isolated community. During dinner, his mother, Gail, reads a worrying letter. They're behind on their mortgage payments. Still, she tries to keep the mood light and asks what the kids want for dessert. Wesley's sister, Amber, blurts out, "I want crocodile for dessert." Everyone laughs. Despite the hardship, there's still warmth and affection at the table. After dinner, Wesley plays checkers with his mom and even wins, though it's clear she let him win just to encourage him. The next day, on the way to school, Wesley notices something strange. The road is blocked, with police cars and ambulances everywhere. When he gets home, there's another surprise. His father, Ronnie, who had been gone for some time, has returned. Wesley doesn't seem very happy about it. When his dad asks for a hug, the boy hesitates, then ends up hugging himself instead. At dinner, Ronnie mentions a recent shooting nearby that killed 4 people. Big news on TV. Gail tries to change the subject, proudly telling him that Wesley scored 95 on his history test, missing only one question about the Battle of Saratoga. Ronnie just replies flatly, "That's a tough one." No emotion, Gail communicates with Wesley using sign language, but Ronnie gets annoyed. He insists the boy wears hearing aids and can read lips, so he should be treated like a normal kid. He clearly refuses to accept his son's deafness. Gail argues it's easier for Wesley to understand signs, but to prove his point, Ronnie tells her to speak without signing. When Wesley understands and responds with a nod, Ronnie looks smug, as if he'd won some argument. The next day, Gail tells Wesley she's spending the night at his grandmother's house in Bismarck, and that Ronnie will be watching him. At lunch, Ronnie packs his son's lunchbox, but school is the same as ever. The same bully smears snot in his hair again, and Wesley just sits quietly, pretending nothing happened. On the way home, Wesley stumbles upon a man lying in the snow, bleeding, with blood all over his hands and a backpack beside him. The man, clearly injured, motions for silence. Startled, Wesley runs back to find his father, who's working on a tractor, but Ronnie doesn't understand his signs and snaps, "Write it down, for God's sake." Getting no help, Wesley decides to return alone to where he saw the man. By the time Ronnie finally follows him there, the man has vanished. Ronnie orders Wesley to go back home. At dinner that night, Ronnie asks Wesley to pass the salt, but the boy doesn't hear him. Ronnie loses his temper, yells, and frightens his daughter. He then slams his fist on the table so Wesley can feel the vibration. Later that night, while Ronnie falls asleep in front of the TV, Wesley sneaks out. He returns to the spot in the woods, searching until he finds the wounded man again. Wesley puts him on a makeshift sled, drags him to an old abandoned barn, lays him down on the hay and covers him with blankets. When the man wakes up and realizes the boy is deaf, he says, "Don't worry, you're not missing much." Then Wesley notices the man has a bullet wound lodged in his body. Wesley goes back home to secretly collect medical supplies. Meanwhile, Ronnie is in the garage talking with a friend. Ronnie feels jealous when he sees that his friend's son knows all about tools, the kind of pride he never gets from Wesley. He calls out to the boy when he sees him leaving without explanation, but Wesley ignores him and carries the bandages back to the barn. The man has already eaten all of Wesley's cereal bars and still asks, "Is there anything else to eat around here?" Meanwhile, the TV continues reporting on the shooting that shook the region. Ever careful, Wesley brings along some of his father's warm clothes to help the man, and slowly they begin to bond. The man starts to recover, and even does some exercises to stay limber. Curious, Wesley tries to imitate his movements. The man notices and decides to teach the boy how to do pull-ups. Later, Wesley is watching TV with his sister when their mother arrives home. She asks how school was and whether the bully caused trouble again. His father also comes back, this time carrying firewood. When a piece of wood falls, Wesley rushes to help. But instead of carrying it like his father wants, he starts stacking everything in his own way, trying to be useful. Ronnie loses his patience again, shouting in frustration that his son isn't listening. That night, Wesley brings a checkers set to the barn to play with the man. This time, he loses every game. Angry, he throws the board aside. The man doesn't go easy on him. "Just because you're deaf doesn't mean I'll let you win." Then he adds, "You'll win, but you'll have to earn it." He makes Wesley pick everything up, and they continue playing. He begins teaching strategy, telling Wesley he must think before acting. An important lesson. During their talk, the man asks Wesley's age and mentions he has a daughter around the same age. He also inquires about the snot in his hair, and Wesley tells him about the school bully. That's when the man decides to take action. He asks Wesley to grab a piggy bank and a thermos. He smashes the piggy bank, fills the thermos with coins, and bangs it on a metal cistern, making a loud echo. Then he hands the backpack to Wesley and asks him to do the same. Wesley tries, but his hit is weak. The man begins to tease him harshly. "What's wrong with you? Stop acting like porcelain. Hit this thing hard." Wesley grows angry until he finally hits it properly. Here he learns something crucial. Sometimes you need to tap into your anger to find strength. The next day at school, Wesley is energized, eagerly waiting for recess. When the bully approaches, he stands up, faces him firmly, eye to eye, remembering the man's advice. Calm and grounded, he confronts the boy and breaks the bully's confidence. The bully's eyes widen in shock and he steps back. For the first time, Wesley stands up for himself. On his way home, Wesley sees his mother talking to a man named Mr. Chamber, an investigator, about a robbery that occurred 3 weeks earlier. Of the 5 suspects, 4 have been caught, and 1 escaped but is injured. He shows a photo, and Wesley immediately recognizes the man. It's the one he's hiding in the barn. Even worse, through the window, he sees 2 agents examining the barn from a distance. Tension rises. Mr. Chamber asks Wesley if he saw the man. The boy stays silent. Then Mr. Chamber tells a bizarre story about a woman who adopted a jaguar cub. When the animal grew up, it killed her children, and even the family cats. A warning not to trust wild beasts. Later, while playing checkers again, Wesley notices the man is missing a finger on his left hand. The man tells a wild story. He lost the finger to a tiger, but later learned to track and hunt. One day he encounters the same tiger, kills it, and crushes its heart so hard it turns into a red stone, now embedded in his ring. He concludes, "Now all the tigers fear me." Wesley falls asleep in the hay, but the man wakes him, saying he needs to return home before his parents notice. The next morning, Wesley goes to school with his finger painted black, imitating his friend. As a kind gesture, he begins teaching the man the Pledge of Allegiance in sign language, the same one he learned at school. The friendship between Wesley and the stranger grows, almost like a father-son bond. They play and have fun, and for a moment the barn becomes a refuge, a world where Wesley can be himself. But not everything is peaceful. While retrieving a ball, Wesley doesn't notice the sheriff peeking through the barn window. The man, alarmed, pulls the boy down, covers his mouth, and draws his gun. The sheriff, seemingly unaware, eventually leaves. Later that night, Wesley is about to sneak out to the barn again. This time, however, his father Ronnie notices. Drunk and frustrated with everything going wrong, the tractor won't start. The TV doesn't work. He begins to vent his anger. His father used to fix everything by hitting it, and now he starts pounding on the TV. Then he kicks the set and yells at Wesley, asking where he thinks he's going. The next morning, Wesley carries some toilet paper to the barn, trying to sneak out quickly, but the man notices bruises on his face. He asks what happened. Wesley stays silent, uneasy. The man immediately understands, and it was his father. At home, his mother examines Wesley's face, worried. Ronnie, as always, makes up a lame excuse. Wesley got too close while he was hitting the TV and accidentally got elbowed. A thin lie. At dinner, Ronnie tries to play the fun dad role, saying he'll take Wesley fishing, But, as always, he speaks without using sign language. Wesley doesn't understand, so his mother translates. Though wary, the boy reluctantly agrees. Later at a bar, Ronnie is drinking when he steps outside to pee. A mysterious man approaches and asks, "Can I help you?" Then the scene cuts. Sometime after, Wesley and his mother receive a call from the sheriff and head straight to the hospital. There they find Ronnie badly beaten in bed. He got thrashed. That night, something changes. Wesley finally sits in the seat his father always took from him at dinner, then heads to the barn. The man begins sharing stories from his past. He says that when he was a kid, his father bought horses and made him take care of all of them, forbidding him to name any. One day the barn caught fire, but the insurance covered everything. His father thought that without names, it would be easier to let them go. The man falls asleep, murmuring that he wished he could take Wesley with him, so they could live together, caring for the horses. He, Wesley, and his daughter. The next day at school, the kids learn a new phrase in sign language. "I am going to travel." Wesley closes his eyes and imagines that new life, happy, taking care of horses with the man and his daughter. But the dream begins to unravel. When he visits his father in the hospital, Wesley sees two investigators showing him a photo, the same man hiding in the barn. Later, the man tells Wesley that a snow removal tractor has been passing their road more frequently, sometimes even stopping in front of their house. Something is about to happen. That night, Wesley wakes to flashing lights outside. Police cars, searchlights in the sky, helicopters. The net is closing in. The next day, the man notices the tractor hasn't passed and grows suspicious. He asks if Wesley told anyone. The boy shakes his head no. Wesley carries the backpack to the barn. The man, as always, asks, "Did you bring dinner?" Wesley seems distant, different. When the man tries to take the backpack, Wesley resists. The bag falls, spilling the thermos full of coins, the same ones they used to practice strikes. The man looks at him and says, "There's still hope for you." That night, Wesley makes a decision. He packs a bag with his toys and prepares to leave. Before going, he says goodbye to his sister in sign language. "I am going to travel." At the barn, he plays one last game of checkers, and for the first time, Wesley wins. The phone rings. It's the truck driver. The man gets up, hands the board to Wesley, and says he has to go. Surprised, Wesley looks at him, asking with his eyes, "Me?" The man only responds with silence. Wesley can't believe it. He thought they'd go together. Desperate, he finally speaks. Yes, he speaks for the first time. He runs, grabs the man, and pleads with his body not to be left behind. But the man, visibly shaken, pushes him away and leaves. Wesley runs crying silently. Outside, a police officer grabs him. The checkers board falls from his hands. From inside the police vehicle, Wesley watches the operation begin. Mr. Chamber gives orders. The truck driver is in another vehicle. The man tries to resist, draws his gun, and is gunned down on the spot. Wesley tries to scream, but no sound comes out. The pain remains trapped inside. The next day, he returns to the barn and finds the checkers board now covered in money. On top sits the man's ring, the one with the red tiger heart stone. Wesley goes back home. His father, now humbled, tries to approach. "So why don't you come here and give your old man a hug?" Wesley, changed, firm and fearless, walks up and hugs him. Emotionless, without anger, but also without affection. He then goes up to his room, sits on the bed, and calmly places the ring on his finger. Now he is a different person. This is the end. If you liked it, subscribe and like, comment anything, and help an unemployed person. Until next time.